document, we can go and ask ES&S the same question. For both vendors, the ADA voting unit number, yours is roughly $2.6 million. It's a substantial piece of this puzzle, as it is for ES&S. My question is, if we did not use your ADA voting units, would all these other prices remain the same?
Yes.
And I would ask the same question, yes.
And just, it has your system, I guess that would be a hybrid system. Your e-scan's been used with different vendors, ADA equipment in other jurisdictions.
I'm going to ask Lawrence and Eddie to take a stab at that.
The e-scans have not been used
With
another
a
ADA.
different ADA solution. Yeah. So that's.
Could you repeat that? We couldn't.
The question was, my understanding of the question was, have our e-scans, the unit we're proposing here, been used with someone else's ADA solution? And the answer is no, it has not. So that would be untested waters.
Would it be possible to do that from your perspective?
I would say anything's possible, but I wouldn't venture a guess as to what ADA unit we'd be talking about and what it might take to get that to work correctly. If it's not been done, then that's uncharted territory.
I mean, in a system like that, what the other vendor would service it ostensibly. I mean, in other words, be responsible for servicing it. Or is that something that?
Ed, you want to take a stab?
Sure. Thank you all very much. My name is Eddie Perez, and I'm the manager of professional services at Hart. I basically oversee the team of trainers, consultants, project managers, and the folks that are in the field actually doing our implementations. I think the shortest way I can answer your question is we actually have historically had instances, not in exactly the way you're describing, but the reverse, where, for example, our ADA unit has actually operated successfully in elections with ES&S optical scan devices. We have had that situation in Hawaii. And so in principle, it actually is, it is possible to effectively have two parallel elections, if you will. Of course, it's one administered election, but that is involving devices from two different vendors and so forth. And with respect to our e-scan machine, in the situation that you're describing, as long as the Hart voting system components were the source of the printed ballots for the e-scan machine, I can't think of any reason why there should be any conflict or anything that would forestall our ability to tabulate the votes from the e-scan paper ballot scanning machines and simply do that in parallel with whatever might be done with an alternative device.
Thank you. In regards to your situation where the e-slate is used as a parallel voting system with a precinct-based system, are you the vendor? Do you service your e-slate? And it's your software that runs the tabulation for the e-slate?
Yes, sir.
And it's the other vendor's software and equipment that manages the regular votes, so to speak.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Tessie, you want to respond to those numbers, and then I guess a couple of questions about ADA.
Yes. Well, thank you for the additional time, because I basically got the piece of paper as I was walking up here. I've now confirmed that those prices would be locked down, and we're comfortable with it. I would like to mention that the assumption that was made on the page, it's not a lot of money, but the AutoMark, it stated that it would have to have a new cartridge after each election, and that's not the case. That is a situation if you're using the Jumanji ink with the Eagle system, but if it's not that, you wouldn't have to be replaced after each election. Also would like to mention that you mentioned if we were to buy, one part of the system, not the other part, would we commit to those prices? The answer is yes on that.
Just as a reminder, the other question was, if let's say the M100s were used as their main workhorse, so to speak, as a tip, and a TSX or an E-slate were used as the ADA, is that something your company has done and worked with?
Well, this last election, we did that with you, where we were allowed to use, we used the central capture and the TSX system. I think on a go-forward basis, one of the requirements that the EAC has put in place is to have a complete end-to-end certification. So they are looking for a certification process that does not just certify components and then bolt those together at the election office. They're looking for a certification process that truly, from the front end to the back end, certifies with that whole process. That is something that we believe is manageable. We would just recommend that we would go through the steps and do that, and we'd be comfortable with that approach.
Thank you. I think you've answered the questions. Any other, since Mr. Tessie's there, is there a question for him right now? I see in your latest proposal, Mr. Tessie, and I'll ask you too, Mr. Kopp, in regards to delivery dates, I see those dates have been moved up. Is that correct?
Yes.
From your original proposal?
Right.
I think it was originally maybe late September. I think it's early September now. Is that correct, Jane?
Correct, but I think our final date of completion by October 1st.
Okay. And you're firm and comfortable with that date?
We're very comfortable with that date. We have you know, a deep understanding of what it will take to deliver that, both the Automarks and the Model 100s, and we're confident that we can accelerate the deliveries.
Without giving any proprietary information, why does it take 3 months to get that product here on visit to here in Cleveland?
Well, in the situation of the Automarks, we are currently fulfilling orders in New York, state of New York. We were fortunate to win a significant lion's share of the business there. And so we just have a backlog of orders that we're fulfilling there. We were also fortunate to win the Automark order in Pinellas County, Florida. And so it's just a matter of, you know, unfortunately we didn't anticipate your 635 units, and but we have all the parts in place, and we're you know, once those other orders have been completed, we will go forward and build the other units. In terms of the Model 100, we're taking steps to pull those units together and make changes so that they perfectly match the requirements in the state of Ohio. The process of doing that will just take a little bit of time, and to ensure that they're fully ready and for you.
Actually, about 2.5 months. And Mr. Burke, while I'm on that thought, how about, I'll ask Mr. Burke one more question. Is there any proposals or bids you have ongoing that could impact your ability to deliver? In other words, you know, you land another contract or something that creates a problem that...
No, you know, we would be very, first of all, once we make a commitment to you, we're going to follow through on that commitment. We're not going to be, you know, we're going to be very smart about any other commitments we would make, and we would not do that at the cost of Cuyahoga County.
Thank you. Mr. Burke, the same 2 questions. One, why does it take 2.5 months to get your product here, and is there anything pending that may impact your ability to do so in regards to bids?
On the first part, it doesn't take 2.5 months. We're ready to ship the appropriate amount of gear for your August election.
Excuse me, I think in your most recent estimate, you're up to August now. That's correct. I think originally it was September.
Yeah, that equipment is built and in our warehouse. It's ready to go. It's ready to be
I
shipped.
think it's delivery August. Is that
I want to make sure that we're talking about August election we only have a handful of precincts, so
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be difficult for either vendor. I would hope to get those machines here. What about the bulk of 1,500 precinct devices and the e-slates? What is the delivery schedule for that? If you could remind me, I'm just searching for your paperwork. I can't remember right now what it was about left.
I remember what it is, Jane. It's, we would start shipping the first week of August and complete it by the end of August. So yeah, plenty of time.
Thanks.
And is there anything pending that would impact your ability to do that in regards to other commitments your organization might make?
I'd love that there were, but there aren't.
While you're up there, Mr. Burt,
Can I ask, these are just 2 questions that really are probably not questions that are to be directed to ES&S because they're a little bit different. And I just wanted to know why your company didn't submit any rental quote, for rental, a rental option for us.
You know, I'm going to ask Lawrence or Brian. I honestly don't know.
My name is Brian Clan. I'm the Senior Vice President of Sales for Hart. The short answer to that is it's not a very profitable model for our business. Taking that much equipment and then bringing it back in-house after an election, trying to then dispose of used equipment is not a profitable model for our business. And as Mr. Burt said earlier, one of our core objectives is profitability as an organization. We made the decision to go very aggressive on our pricing to win the business, because we do have the latest technology. We can use that election after election. That's the somewhat short answer.
But we did specifically ask for rental options. And
Correct.
price,
But we actually gave you both. We gave a rental price and a purchase price, and there was a $1 difference, I believe.
It was a lease with an
Right,
option.
a lease with an option, with a dollar buyout option, correct.
If the, I don't want to get into what's profitable for you and what's not profitable for you, but I'm just wondering if the machines are already, nothing has to be manufactured. I'm just wondering, I understand the cost of moving them back and forth perhaps, but given, I would assume they could be reused. So I'm not really sure how you take a loss on, other than maybe transportation costs.
Well, there's a different market, obviously, for new equipment than there is for used equipment, just like there is in cars, computers, or anything of that nature. So it's a much more difficult market in the used market than it is for a brand new market, especially with certified election equipment.
Okay, and then I guess the other question that I have, and I'm not sure this is a question, this may be a question for ES&S as well, it's a capacity issue, and I just want it's a capacity question that I have, and we've been trying to look at your proposal very carefully, and very excited about the prospect of digital technology being available now. But I guess the question is, we don't want to get caught up in a capacity issue, and I wanted to just find out from you and your colleagues how comfortable you are in, with being able to service a county our size. Because even though we have looked at Hamilton, and then you mentioned Hawaii, and the difficult terrain. We don't even have islands, and we've got difficult terrain. So I just would like you to respond to concerns that I might have as a board member about whether your company is really able to handle the capacity here in Cuyahoga County.
Sure, when we talk about capacity, that tends to be training, professional services, engineering services, which is under Eddie's department. He'd love to come up and address that for you.
I'm going to try to answer that as thoroughly as possible for you, Ms. Davis, as well as I can, because I'll state unequivocally and very directly that I am entirely comfortable with our ability to not only support but exceed your expectations in a county like Cuyahoga County. I think the best way that I can answer a question about capacity is I can provide a variety of different metrics, whether it's a question of the complexity of other types of counties that we have supported, whether it is a question of our ability to manage our supply chain, muster resources, manage large numbers of equipment, and so forth, and also technology issues. What can we say about the capacity of our system in terms of managing large amounts of data and so forth? So if you'll indulge me, I can touch on a few of those issues. To illustrate the way that we have a very long record of successful management capacity, I would start by simply pointing out that we have already successfully implemented the Hart voting system in some of the nation's largest counties. They are actually now mature users that are operating with our system almost entirely self-sufficiently. Just to give some examples, the Hart voting system has been successfully used in Harris County, Texas since 2002. Harris County is the third largest county in the nation. They have a population of 3.7 million folks, 1.8 million registered voters, and they have 874 precincts, and they support 700 polling places.
I don't mean to be disrespectful.
No, not at all.
We've got your letter and we've
Okay.
got all the statistics.
Okay.
My question to you to follow up on Ms. Chappelle's questions on page 2, where you list Harris County, Orange County, Tarrant County, Texas. My understanding is that none of those have the system that we're going to be purchasing, that you propose that we purchase from you.
Of those three counties, Mr. Venier, Tarrant County, Texas does currently use the E-Scan system. You are correct that Harris County, Texas, and Orange County, they are presently using our DRE option only. But Tarrant County, Texas, which is a rather sizable county. They use the E-scan as their primary vote method. You are, of course, all aware that Hamilton County, Ohio uses approximately 1,020 E-scan units in approximately 900 precincts. And in addition, the E-scan machine is used in approximately 101 total counties and virtually the entire state of Kentucky. So I hope that provides some perspective. If there are other specific ways that you're concerned about capacity, I'd certainly like to offer whatever reassurances you need.
Well, just to pick up on where Sandy left, there's 13 optical scan counties that use E-scan. Is that correct?
We actually, when we saw that in your documentation, we were actually wondering about that. We would actually provide a different number.
What's that?
Correct one, 101? 101 E-scan counties in the nation that are using E-scan as their primary vote method.
Okay, and other than Tarrant County, are there any even, close to the number of registered voters that we have, the number of precincts that we have?
That are currently using E-scans as their primary. The closest one, and I think the best example for your purposes, would be Hamilton County, Ohio, yes.
Can you get us a confirmation and a list of those counties that you do have optical scan? You said it's 101, I want to just make sure I see that.
Yes, we'd be happy to do that.
And is that E-scan with the slate?
Not in all of those instances, no.
How many are using E-scan with E-slate?
I don't know off the top of my head, Ms. Platten, I would need to check.
If you could, thanks.
Certainly.
And I guess, the question I'm trying to get to, whether you can ramp up to, Hamilton County is, close, but not really not close enough really to give us, or give me at least an apples to apples kind of comparison. So I guess I'm sort of relying on you to tell me why it is that there's confidence that you can ratchet it up, or that the equipment will be able to perform with a slightly larger county in terms of, precincts, locations, and so forth.
Well, from our perspective, I think that without just sort of saying, obviously it's not all the same, but the skills that are required and the experience that we do have in terms of needing to ramp up for jurisdictions that are going to have a very significant number of voters, at least as large as Cuyahoga County, managing and warehousing very, very large volumes of equipment, whether they are DRE machines or whether they are E-scan machines, and all of the expertise and the forethought and the attention to detail that is required from a service standpoint to work with you extremely closely to successfully integrate your local staff, your local procedures with the technology. Those are, I think, extremely valuable skills that we have had to muster on a very, very large scale, and again, without discounting the fact that yes, there is a difference, I do think that the very extensive experience we have in other DRE counties and in other slightly smaller E-scan counties, you can just directly overlay it because we have had to learn our lessons there, and we've had a lot of successes for many years. Thank you.
Follow up to the ES&S? Capacity, sure.
Yeah, and my apologies for not directing that to you as well.
Oh, that's no problem. No problem at all. In terms of capacity, we enjoy an advantage that we've been here before, and we know what is going to be expected of us. When we did the sizing and made sure our system could handle the capacity and flexibility and complexities of Cuyahoga County back in March, we're very confident that in looking at November that we can handle that as well. So one capacity is the actual system itself and all that's required, and the other part of it is people. And we're fortunate that we had 18 people dedicated to Cuyahoga, and many of those people will be able to come back and work with your warehouse people like we did in the past, and your county staff, and setting up the election. And we have specialists and people that will work with you. So we're very comfortable. We also have great experience with the products that we're proposing for you. For over 10 years, we've supported this system in Dallas County, Texas. We've supported it in Birmingham, Alabama. Detroit, Michigan, Sacramento, California, as a few examples of large jurisdictions that have a similar kind of complexity and demands that Cuyahoga County has, and we're comfortable with that, and we've got a lot of experience with that as well. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah.